Welcome to the Pioneer Agronomy Update. We have made our way on this Tuesday to the Larimore, North Dakota area. McCoy Seed, Dennis and Shaun McCoy with us, and let's get an update. First of all, Dennis, give us an idea what are conditions, anything getting moved in this region?
Well, there's a lot of people in the field now. I think this week now, there's some people that are done with their wheat. Some are just starting, but the wheat's really going in. A few corn planters are going now up and down the field. So soil temperature, turf temperature was still about 39, so it's a little iffy on the corn, but on the other hand, it's cold and dry. So if you've got a lot of acres to cover, I guess probably go to it.
Operative word is dry. Probably not as dry as you go west, Shaun, but you do have some dry conditions.
Yeah, it's dry out here when you get closer to Larimore, Northwood, Emerado, Grand Forks. They have a little more moisture, so that's awesome for them. We're a little hillier, so we're kind of more variable, but I have no complaints because when we were talking this time last year, it was just terrible, super wet, and something we're not used to, and it's been that way for a couple of years. So just keep my mouth closed, and I'm just super happy for what we've got right now. So
we were still trying to harvest last year at this point.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't have no standing corn right now to worry about. So yeah.
So with that cold start that we've got here a little bit with these soils, how important is that seed treatment, Dennis?
It's still important. There's still organisms that thrive in these soil temperatures, and if it's dry, it doesn't necessarily mean we still won't have problems. And so the seed treat is still, and then you have to think about how long is that going to lay there before it germinates, because some of it is in dry ground. So those organisms that thrive at the temperatures we've got now, even though it's dry, are still going to attack that seed.
This market's been crazy. Has that changed any in really what the acreage mix is in this region?
Not a lot. I think most guys are planning on putting in what they planned here a month or two ago, because you have to look at the calendar for, are we going to switch, from wheat into corn? Some are going to do that, but so far we haven't seen a big switch.
You mentioned, Shaun, those soil temperatures. Where have we been sitting in this area?
I suppose at night it's been pretty close to what the night temperatures are, just on bare soil, so mid-30s. Put a corn plot in yesterday morning on some lighter soil, and it was 40 degrees at about 10:30. So as the day gets warmer like this the next couple of days, it's going to help a lot to get it back into those 50s, and then at night it'll slowly bring that low temp up to a better average, so it's more suitable for corn.
Do you guys do a lot of plots?
Yeah, usually I try to get in as many as I can, or at least get some plot bags out to personal farms that have their own besides our plots. So we'll have soybean, multiple corn plots, and then a sunflower plot again. So
it's nice with Pioneer. You got a lot of that local data that growers can see.
Oh, definitely. And Shaun works with a lot of the customers, just doing that, taking care of it.
Good deal. Well, we wish you much success as we move forward. We're going to pull Kristi into it. Dennis and Shaun, thank you.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you very much.
Talking with Dennis and Shaun McCoy. Kristi Sundeen now joins us, field agronomist. Kristi, you got a wider swath that you cover. Can you give us kind of an idea what you're seeing across the region?
Yeah, so Minnesota, we're actually sitting really good. For the most part, they've got lots of moisture. Well, not a lot. They've got good, adequate moisture. We'll just leave it at that. They've had good conditions. You get across this side of the river on the North Dakota side, it's hit and miss. As you're getting to the southern part, Grand Forks, for the most part, we do have adequate moisture, but as you move north and west, we're definitely low on moisture. We've got a lot of areas that are really dry, that half-inch of rain, any rain. I mean, they keep forecasting rain, and we're supposed to have 60% chance yesterday, and I think it was 50% chance Sunday, and we might have gotten 1/100th. Yeah. I mean, it just didn't amount to anything.
So what's the plan of attack? Should growers be a little more defensive when they're making their plans for the growing season?
Well, I think they got to take a lot of things into consideration, but at the end of the day, we can easily pick a half-inch to an inch of rain up and fix a lot of the problems that we've got right now. So I think most growers need to plan with that they're going to have a really good crop to begin with. So I wouldn't pull back on fertilizer, maybe some in-furrow fertilizer I would pull back a little bit on, just because the susceptibility of that seed in these dry conditions. But fertilizer in general, I wouldn't pull back on. Seed treatment, I wouldn't pull back on. And my seed choices, I wouldn't pull back on. I mean, that's your starting point and what you're going to have for yield at the end of the day. And I think we still need to start strong.
Any concern with some of the dry conditions as far as carryover with the herbicides?
So our general geography, maybe as you get up towards that Raleigh area, we might be a little bit drier in terms of last year's rainfall. There are a few products that guys need to watch out for. There might be some carryover on. I think for my general geography, though, I don't think we have carryover issues. But saying that as guys are making decisions going into this next year, whether it's pre-plants or post-products, especially in wheat, some certain products, I think they need to watch out, and they think they need to consciously make a decision on what is going to be an issue and look at rotation restrictions, and then look at the rotation restrictions that are related to rainfall, because those might be an issue as we go into the 2022 season.
Good point. You do a lot of work with canola. We're just looking at crop progress. We're just barely getting started, but that those dry conditions certainly a concern there.
Well, and honestly, I think most guys are holding off. There's a lot of guys in the north that are finishing up wheat. Some guys haven't even started wheat, and they're trying to decide, do I go to canola or do I go to soybeans? Honestly, they don't even know. I mean, right now we haven't hit the planting date yet on soybeans, so guys are still holding off for that reason on soybeans. But canola, do you want to lay it in dry soil and wait for a rain? Or do you want to hold off until it rains and then put it in the ground? You know, we've had really good results with late planted canola. We've had really good results with early planted canola. So to me, it depends on your soil moisture. It depends on the equipment you're using. You're using a hoe drill, you're really opening up that ground, versus a planter or a single disc drill, you're not opening up the ground as much. So look at your soil temperature, look at the moisture you have before you make a decision, because the seed treatment on canola, especially related to flea beetles, and flea beetles could be a big issue again this year, you want your treatment to work. So you're going to want it to germinate right away and come up. If it's not going to do that, maybe you should consider holding off.
With all crops, any thought on the general consensus on planting depth?
When it comes to corn and soybeans, I would stick to that 2-inch range. I don't know if I would go much deeper than that. Wheat is still 1.5 to 2 inches. I don't know if I'd go below 2 inches. Plus, with the kind of ground that we've got right now, I think you guys would have a hard time getting it in that deep. And if you're getting it in that deep, how much tillage did you do before to get it in that deep? So was it really worth it? Canola, depending on the equipment you're using, if you're using a planter or single disc where you can control the depth a lot more, if you want to go to 1.25 inches, okay, but that's only if you have soil moisture. Add 1.25 inches. If you don't have soil moisture at 1.25 inches, there's no point in putting it deep in the ground, because it's going to take that much more rain to get down to the seed before it's going to germinate. So stick to about the inch, 3/4 inch to 1 inch, I think, on canola, especially on this dry ground. And whatever your decision is, whether you're putting in the ground before the rain or after the rain, I would just stick to that depth.
Kristi, obviously we're getting geared up. Guys are moving. If they're making any last-minute seed decisions, some in-season type of things, can you guys help them out?
Yeah, I mean, definitely call your local guy. He'll be able to make phone calls. We've got excess seed sitting at a few places, so that way if something comes up, maybe it's not the perfect variety that you wanted and not our top stuff, but we have really good varieties across our board. You know, it may not be the biggest bushel buster, but it's still going to be a big bushel buster. So I would definitely still make phone calls. If you're thinking of switching out into something else, call us first before you say, I'm not going to do it. We might be able to find you seed, because we have a few things sitting around here and there.
Good deal. Kristi, appreciate the chance to visit.
You're welcome.
Kristi Sundeen with us from Pioneer. Also, Shaun and Dennis McCoy here in that Larimore, North Dakota area. It's our Pioneer Update, our Pioneer Agronomy Update. I'm Don Wick, along with Randy Coonan here on the Red River Farm Network.